again to my YouTube channel. In the view of the forthcoming post-UTME exams, I'm going to be showing you most likely questions you are going to see in physics for most top Nigerian universities, or because they use JAMB questions, and I've gathered some past questions that I'm going to be revealing to you. If this is your first time coming across this channel, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because you have a lot to gain. With no further ado, let's get right into the video. Question 1. Find the quantum energy carried by a radiation of wavelength 3 times 10 to the power of minus 6 meters. And we are given the Planck constant to be 6.63 times 10 to the power of minus 34 jouleseconds. Now we have the following options, option A to option D. Before you can be able to choose the correct answer to this question, you must ask yourself, what is the relationship connecting the quantum energy with its wavelength and also the Planck's constant? Now, if you know that relationship connecting them, you can be able to get your answer smiling at you. Alright, so now there is a relationship. The quantum energy is equals to H what? F. Now, what is this? This is a Planck constant. This is the frequency of the emitted photon. This frequency is gotten from the speed of light, and the speed of light, c, is equals to f lambda, right? Now, because we already have the wavelength and we need this speed of light to make frequency the subject, simply by saying that f is equals to c over lambda, right? Now we're going to replace it here. Now we're going to have our E, which is photon energy, to be h c over lambda. We have these two parameters, the Planck constant and what? The wavelength. The speed of light is always constant, and the value for the speed of light, c, is given as 3 times 10 to the power of what? 8 meters per second. So we're going to put it there to get our answer. Alright, let's go. We have that E is equal to, my Planck constant is giving us 6.63 times 10 to the power of what? Minus 34. Okay, then multiply by, now the question did not give us the speed of light, which is this, but we all know that electrons move with the speed of light and is very constant. Okay, so just know the value of the speed of light. Okay, now we have this as 3 times 10 to the power of what? 8, right? Now divided by the wavelength given in the question to be 3 times 10 to the power of minus 6. Is that clear? Okay, so we can get our answer smiling. Now what do we have? Let's work it together. You can still decide to do it without using calculator. I will teach you how to do that. Automatically this 3 cancels what? 3. Is that clear? Now look at this power of minus 6. It can come up to change to what? Plus. And if that is done, it's going to give us 6.63 times 10 to the power of minus 34, right? Now, if this is coming up, it's going to be times 10 to the power 8, then plus 6. Do you get it now? Okay, that gives us what? If I work on the powers, I'm going to have, let me work on the powers alone. I'm going to have this minus 34 plus what? 14, because s plus is going to give me 14. Now I'm going to have what? Minus 20. This is just the power. Then I replace it with this. I'm going to have that E is equals to 6.63 times 10 to the power of minus 20 joules, because energy is measured in what? Joules. So you can see that even without using calculator, you can actually solve this and get your answer smiling. Now, from the options provided in the question, the correct option to this question is option A. Question 2. Which of the following is the correct definition of half-life? Option A. The average lifetime of a radioactive material. Option B. The time it takes a radioactive material to decay to half of its original quantity. Option C. Half the period of a radioactive material decays completely. Option D. Half of the decay constant. Now the correct option of the definition of half-life is the time taken for a radioactive material to decay to half of its original quantity? And the answer is what? B. Question 3. Find the half-life of radioactive isotope which has a decay constant of 0.000456. And we have the following options. For us to be able to solve this, we must remember the relationship connecting the half-life and the decay constant, okay? And that relationship is what? We have that the half-life, I tag this at T half. Some people tag it as T, but they still mean the same thing. So depending on what you have, what you use to remember yours. So this is half-life is equals to 0.693 all over decay constant, okay? But from the question, the decay constant is given at this, so we just have to substitute it in and find our answer. It's very simple. Now this is half-life, which is what we are looking for, is equals to 0.693 over the decay constant is given as 0.000456, okay? Now by the time we divide it, you see what we'll have. Now let's work it out and see the answer. This is 0.693 divided by 0.000, okay, 456 is going to give me, I have 1519.7 days, okay? But I'm going to approximate this to have what? Approximated value 1520 days. All right, so my half-life is equals to 1520 days. And from what I have so far, the correct option to this question is option A. Question 4. Which of the following connections is required to convert a milliammeter into a voltmeter? Option A low resistance in series. Option B, a low resistance in parallel. Option C, a high resistance in series. Option D, a high resistance in parallel. Now, what we must look at is what? This is a milliammeter. Okay? Now, this milliammeter is also said to be what? A galvanometer. This is another form of saying a galvanometer because it measures in milliamperes. Now, how do we convert it to a voltmeter? We are going to use a high resistance wire connected in series. A high resistance wire connected in series. So, and the name of that high resistance wire is called a multiplier. So even if they did not say a high resistance, we're still going to use what? A multiplier, and it must be connected in series with the galvanometer because the same current flows. You understand? The current that flows through the galvanometer, it flows through the what? Multiplier. So the correct option to this question is option C. Question 5. The electric field intensity in a place where a charge of 10 power minus 10 coulombs, this is coulombs, okay, experiences a force of 0.4 Newton is what? We have the following options. So the question is, how do we get the electric field intensity? Now, even without knowing the formula, look at the units. Newton per coulomb. Newton means what? Force, okay, and coulomb means charge. That means Newton over what? That is force over charge. Do you understand? Now we can indirectly get our formula with the units. You see that it's very simple. Now we can see that with the units, this is Newton for force and this is coulombs for charge. So this is force over what? Coulomb. This per coulombs means that the charge is the denominator. So let's just put in what we have. Our E, which is what we are looking for, electric field intensity, is equal to the force is 0.4 Newton divided by 10 power minus what? 10. Now I'm carrying this to the up. Numerator is going to be, this is equals to 0.4 then times 10 power plus what? 10, right? Now this is minus 1. Let's work it out by saying that this is 4 times 10 to the power of what? Minus 1 times 10 to the power of what? 10. Simply by saying that E is equals to 4 times 10 raised power of what? 9 Newton per coulomb. Hope you understood that. Alright. Now from what we've got so far, the correct option to this question is option B. If this video was able to help someone out there, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications to get notified each time I post videos. And lastly, do not forget to share for other students that are preparing for this same fourth post UTME to see it and learn from there. I will see you next time in the next one. Bye for now.